Talk Radio 92.3 and AM 760 with Healing with Hypnosis. A half hour to help ordinary, everyday people with ordinary, everyday problems using individual hypnotic techniques. Call with your questions on the Crowne Plaza call-in line. 865-888-TALK. Now, certified consulting hypnotist David Welch from Knoxville Family Hypnosis with Healing with Hypnosis. From the FMT Insurance Studios of Talk Radio 92.3 and AM 760.
Hey, this is David Welch from Knoxville Family Hypnosis, and you're listening to Healing with Hypnosis here on Talk Radio 92.3 and AM 760, coming to you live from the FMT Insurance Studios. You can use the Crowne Plaza call-in line and call me at 865-888-TALK. That's 865-888-8255. I'm David Welch, and I'm a certified consulting hypnotist through the National Guild of Hypnotists. I'm an advanced hypnotherapist through the American Alliance of Hypnotists. I'm certified in pain and advanced pain management. And I'm an expert at helping you release your fear and pain. Here in a moment today, I'm going to have a guest with me. This is going to be kind of interesting. I haven't done this yet. This is somebody that's actually currently going through sessions with me. He just had his third session last night. And let me get him on here if I can figure out how to get him on here. I think this is how I get him on here.
Hello?
Hey, Max, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing really good. So tell me a little bit about, I guess we'll just start. What was going on with you that made you decide to look for hypnosis?
Well, I was having constant intrusive thoughts and crippling anxiety, and kind of lost the meaning in life and was feeling really hopeless. So I was looking at some TED Talks, and I actually had stumbled across one about hypnotherapy. And after watching that, I figured that it would be a good idea to give it a shot, because I had already been doing some mindfulness practicing, with doing Wim Hof guided breathing, among other things, like meditation to try and help. And I think that helped me going into hypnotherapy, because hypnotherapy kind of works using your subconscious mind. So, that's where I started off.
Before you came to see me, what had you already done to try to take care of it, besides basic meditation and breathing therapy?
Honestly, before doing those things, I really wasn't doing much of anything. And doing hypnotherapy has taught me that just working day by day through repetition reinforces positive habits, as well as, just positive thought. And the repetition really helps.
And this is one of the things I really like to talk to my client. And one of the reasons I like having clients like you on as a guest even. It's easy for me to see hypnosis because I do it all the time. I'm always in my office. But what did you expect to happen? I mean, if I tell you, you're going to go see a therapist or even a dentist, if you've never seen one, you're going to go to a lawyer. You sort of have an image in your mind of what it's going to be like. Most people know so little about hypnosis. Before you came to see me, what were your preconceived notions of it? What did you expect was going to happen, or what it was going to be like?
Well, when I first came to see you, I thought that it was just going to be like a magic fix-it pill, work instantly. Now, while it wasn't quite that, it was very effective and different from what I had in my thoughts. But if you think about it, everybody is going to have expectations in their mind that just aren't going to match with reality. So personally, it wasn't what I expected, but it definitely was effective. And every time I do it, I feel myself slowly getting better and better.
That's kind of funny, because about half, you'd think that as a hypnotist, all my job is hypnosis. About half my job is dealing with my clients' expectations when they come in. One of the things I think that's really funny is everybody sees it on the TV, like you wave a watch or a pendant in front of somebody to put them into hypnosis. And when I get children in sometimes, that's what they've seen on TV and that's what they expect. So a lot of times I've got a pendant that I'll use just for children that I'll wave it in front of them a couple of times and let them see it and tell them to close their eyes. And I've met their expectations. That's what they expected to happen. And then I start doing the actual real hypnosis. I think it's just kind of funny that way.
Yeah, it makes sense if you think about it, too. Because that's like working with their subconscious mind, and, you know, it'll help them, like, have faith in what's happening more. Because people view placebos and stuff like that as something as a negative thing, which hypnotherapy is more than just like a placebo, but like placebos in general, it's using the power of your mind, because people don't realize how much power they really have over like their body with just their thoughts. And that's one thing that I think society tends to ignore and view like mental issues or just like things that aren't physical as something that they could fix by putting a Band-Aid over it, like a real injury, like physically, which it just isn't the case.
And that's completely true. I think I told you that. We were talking about that the other day, that you have to be really careful that you're not treating the symptoms and actually treating the cause. You know, if you go to the doctor and you say, you know, my arm hurts and I want you to treat my arm hurting, well, the doctor can give you something to take care of that and make the pain go away. But what if the reason that your arm hurt was because you were having a heart attack? You know, you're treating the symptoms. You're not actually treating what's wrong with people. And when, you know, with treating like anxiety, like with you, that's a big part of it. You know, I could make the anxiety go away, but you know, we really want to work on the stuff that's deeper than that. You just had your third session last night out of 4, so you're about halfway through it right now. How do you think that you're progressing, you know, from before to now?
Well, I think that it's a night and day difference between like when I first started. Well, I'm obviously not where I need to be 100% yet. I'd probably say I'm about a good 75% of the way to being good with dealing with my intrusive thoughts and anxiety. I feel like as long as I keep doing the repetition and keep on going through the sessions, that it'll reinforce like the positive thinking to where eventually it'll take care of the problem, which is the intrusive thoughts and anxiety. Whereas if you were to just suppress it, that's not actually dealing with the actual issue. And if you don't deal with the actual issue, you'll never overcome what's actually plaguing you.
Yeah. You told me that they were actually considering putting you on medication for this?
Yep. And honestly, I've taken medication for a short while, but I didn't find it effective at all. And the hypnosis, definitely way more effective.
Well, and I'm glad to hear that you're doing that well with it. I was talking to Roz just a minute ago, and I think what we'd even like to do is once you're through all of your sessions, here in about a month or so, I just bring you back in and see how far along you've come since then.
Sounds good to me.
I believe that we're going to be taking a little commercial here in just a minute. You'll be able to like sit through that, won't you? And come back for the second half of the show?
Sure.
That's great. Well, this is David Welch with Healing with Hypnosis. You're listening to Talk Radio 92.3 and AM 760. Hey, this is David Welch with Healing with Hypnosis. You're listening to Talk Radio 92.3 and AM 760. Max, are you still there with me?
Yes, I am.
One of the things that struck me the most about you in your particular case is one of the things I ask people when they first come in is usually, you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, how are you sleeping? You know, what's the quality of sleep? And I think when I asked you that, you told me no, that your sleep was, the quality of sleep was almost non-existent.
Exactly.
How are you sleeping now?
I'm sleeping much better. Well, not perfect. I actually can fall asleep now, which is nice. And I actually wind up getting 8 hours of sleep rather than just like 2 or 3, which like that alone has greatly improved my mood and like the stress and anxiety in general. Because if you're not getting the proper sleep, your body's not able to, you know, fix itself the way it needs to. and all your hormones aren't going to be in check.
Yeah, that's completely true. One of the symptoms I think it's backwards. One of the symptoms of depression is not getting a lot of sleep. But I actually think that what it is not getting a lot of sleep causes depression. Just a depressed mood. It's amazing what a couple of good nights sleep will do to your quality of life. And it's also amazing what anxiety will do to not having a good quality of sleep.
That's for sure.
Now, if I asked you, with your anxiety, you said that it was almost crippling. What would be different between before and now? Like, could you tell me something that would have caused you anxiety before, and how you would handle it different now, if that makes any sense?
I'm sorry. Could you repeat the question?
Sure. Could you tell me something that would have caused you anxiety before, and how it would be different now?
Okay, so one of the main things that causes me anxiety is that I overthink about everything a lot. So now I sort of try to think through it rather than like rationally. So let's say if I have something that's bothering me, like let's just say there's an intrusive thought that pops in my head, then not like that this is actually what I think or anything, but like let's say for example, there'd be an intrusive thought that says, oh, go throw this kitten off a balcony, just for an example. Well, I would think through that rationally now that I've had positive reinforcement through hypnotherapy, and I'd realize that that's not my thoughts, that my subconscious is like, as you've said, a 4-year-old child that believes everything that it hears, and it's like a camera that's constantly recording. And the thoughts that are in your head aren't necessarily your own. They could be just feedback from the world around you, just things that you've heard or seen. Like, let's say, for example, on TV, which can honestly cause a lot of negative thoughts in general, just because society nowadays, we have a constant negative feed of information in our faces 24/7. And we're not really meant to deal with all of that, like 24/7. So I know that for sure is one of the things that triggered my anxiety, just the world around me.
And I just want to cover that really quick, go over that really, really quickly. Talking about intrusive thoughts, everybody has those. I'm sure that every time somebody's been driving down the highway and there's been a group of people standing on the side of the road, and that thought just pops into your head, what would happen if I ran those people over? I mean, it's not something that you would actually do. It's not a conscious thought. It's just this bizarre thing that pops up into your head. And it's actually completely normal. We don't act on them when we go, well, that was just crazy. And then we go about our life. In your particular case, they would pop up and then you just ruminate on them and you couldn't get rid of them. Is that basically what you were saying?
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty much exactly how it would go. And sometimes it would just like leave me with a feeling of tightness in my chest to where like I could barely breathe. And it would send me into a panic attack, like depending on what it was about. Sometimes it's worse than others, but now after hypnotherapy, it's way less frequent. And when I do get them, it's easier to deal with it and then go about the rest of my day without really having it affect me.
Oh, that's cool. Now, assuming that we're talking about people that have trouble that could be treated with hypnosis, anxiety is a good example of that. As a matter of fact, my specialty is pretty much pain relief and anxiety. What would you tell people that were suffering from anxiety that maybe were considering hypnosis?
I would say that go into hypnosis with a positive mindset, maybe do some breathing exercises and some research on the subconscious mind beforehand, so then you could understand how the process itself is actually helping you scientifically, as well as understanding that repetition reinforces good behavior, sort of like you're working your brain out as opposed to lifting weights to build your muscles, you're doing mental work to grow your brain, because your brain is just another muscle if you think about it.
And I'm actually so glad that you said that. So many of my clients, especially when they come in, because you only know about hypnosis, what you see on TV and the movies, and almost 100% of that's completely and totally wrong. People come in to see me really wanting me to just like hit them with a magic wand and make their trouble go away without them making any effort at all. But you've actually been an active participant, and you've been doing the work that you need to do to get well on your own, and that's really important.
Yeah, I wish it was simple as just waving a magic wand, but that's just not the way life is.
What did you think about the actual hypnosis sessions themselves? While you're sitting in the recliner going through the hypnosis.
At first, you don't really notice how different of a state it really is, because you're totally in control and you're conscious. But by the time you open your eyes and like at the end of the session, you just realize like all the stress and anxiety just melted away, and you feel just this sense of clarity that you didn't have before, that you don't really notice until after you're finished.
That's actually one of the things that I enjoy the most about doing the hypnosis is put somebody in the recliner, get them into that really relaxed state, and 30 or 45 minutes later when you're done, you bring them out. They actually look like they're a completely different person. You can see the stress is just melted off of them. Now,
I could definitely feel it.
Yeah. So, do you have anything else that you'd like to just add to this? Any of your own personal opinions or thoughts?
Well, the only thing that I can really say is that if you do it, go in with a positive mindset and repetition and doing work on your own after you've done it the first time, and for positive affirmation, like just saying stuff like feel good, feel great, feel happy, stuff like that all the time to yourself. Just remind yourself that everything is going to be fine, and that really helps keep you in a positive mood and avoid the triggers in the first place, like that could cause the anxiety or the intrusive thoughts. As long as you keep a positive mind, you can accomplish anything. And people think that's something cheesy to say, but honestly, it's the truth. You are what you think. And if you think negatively, that's what you're going to get out. You get what you put in.
And that's completely true. That's part of the stuff that we talk about during the sessions. What you tell yourself is what you are. That little voice that you're constantly talking to yourself, you listen to yourself and you trust yourself more than anybody. So what you say is actually sort of what you're going to get. Now, you told me the other day that you probably thought, I guess at the beginning of the session, you said that you thought that you were about 50% better. And I guess after the session, you said that you probably picked up another 25%. So you're about 75% there. I think we've got you scheduled for about 3 weeks out to give you a chance to just reprocess all that stuff. Do you think that by the last session that you're going to make a 100% improvement?
I would hope so. I can't say anything for sure until it happens, but at the rate that I've been going, I don't see why I wouldn't.
That's good. I honestly don't either. And I look forward to seeing you here in a couple of weeks. We'll do our last session. I didn't tell you this last night because I got preoccupied. Before I see you again, I want you to think, and I usually do this with most of my clients, before your last session, I want you to think of just 2 or 3 things that you'd like just to be added into that. Study habits, reading, just whatever you want. And write those down and give them to me at the last session, and we'll just go ahead and add that into that last session, sort of as a little bonus.
All right. Sounds good.
All righty. Well, this is David Welch with Knoxville Family Hypnosis. You've been listening to Healing with Hypnosis, and I hope you tune in and listen to me next week. This is Talk Radio 92.3 and AM 760.